Hello, everybody, and welcome to Convos with Cole. You're now listening to your host, Wendell Cole. In time, I'll be able to say Dr. Cole, but for right now, it is Wendell Cole. And this episode, I would like to introduce to you all Dr. Drai. He is my guest for the day, and he is among the country's most well-known and respected board-certified Ob-Gyn physicians and surgeons. He travels throughout the United States speaking on insights and strategies for improving women's health, earning him the title of America's Ob-Gyn by his peers and patients. And he is frequently called upon by national media to give a fresh perspective and new information on women's health trends. He is being featured in a slew of media shows, such as the Huffington Post, CNN, the Tom Joyner Show, and many, many more. He definitely knows what he's talking about. He actually served on the Board of Trustees for the American Osteopathic Association and the American College of Osteopathic Obstetricians and Gynecologists. He is an author. He is CEO of Medical Moguls, which helps healthcare practitioners and medical practitioners turn them into medical moguls, help teach them how to monetize their degree, and has generated millions in revenues from this venture. And he also is founder of Drai.com, where you can find many things on women's health. And today we speak about a wide range of things, different topics. I'm excited to get you guys feedback from this. We speak about how to leverage social media, from how to build brands as a medical profession or just as a healthcare profession, starting as early as med school. So for some of my classmates or earlier persons, this should be good for you. And we also talk about finding coaches and, how to be successful and kind of the mindset that he had going into it. So I hope you all enjoy this wide-ranging conversation featuring Dr. Drai.
You are now tuned into Convos with Cole.
Dr. Drai, how's it going? How you doing? It's a pleasure to have you on the show. I know we've been missing each other. There's been a lot of technical difficulties, but I'm glad to finally have you here, and so you can speak and we can definitely hear what you have to say and get a lot of good information and good insight about you. So I definitely want to thank you for coming on the show. First of all,
thank you for having me. This is a pleasure, honor.
One of my classmates actually shared how I found about you was one of my classmates actually, it was in your Facebook group, and he knows that I like entrepreneur stuff, and he's actually starting off his own nonprofit, and he sent me the info for the group, and you have posts that you make daily, and I was just watching those, like reading them religiously, and I just had this natural curiosity, and I stumbled upon your site, and I liked a lot of the things that you were doing. So, for those that may not know, what I love to do is perhaps give the people like a Dr. Drai overview, and not Dr. Drai the rapper, but you, Dr. Drai the physician. Like who is Dr. Drai? Like where are you from, and what do you do? Just kind of give people an introduction to you.
So Dr. Drai is a board-certified OB-GYN physician, previously academic, now turned into concierge OB-GYN, who has launched his medical career and monetized it into a B school, a business school called Medical Moguls Academy, where we teach other doctors how to monetize their medical degree so they can have the lifestyle of freedom that they deserve.
So what got you into that? Because I know you use the phrase Doctorpreneurs, and that's the first time I heard that. Well, a better question is, what's the difference between a doctor that has his own or her own practice versus a doctorpreneur?
So So Doctorpreneur is a term for an entrepreneur that happens to be a doctor. So entrepreneurs are basically people that are business savvy who start their own business and run their own business and create their own wealth, right? Based off of their genius, their gifts, their passions. So a lot of doctors, even though we're like OB-GYNs, orthopedic surgeons, family medicines, a lot of doctors aren't walking in their purpose, right? Because, medicine, we're at an advantage. Medicine becomes very easy for us, right? We can do it with our eyes closed. A lot of us become so easy because it's repetition. But that may not be what people really want to do in life, and it may not be what God really wants you to do. So you will start seeing signs, and you've always probably have seen these signs growing up where you're supposed to be in this world. And we fight them, right? So human nature is to never go through the door that's already open, right? We want to jug at the door that's closed because this is where we think we need to go. Okay. So eventually in life, the door that you're supposed to go into, you will go into and find out why you're really here on this earth. And then that's the kind of business that you need to start so you can create that lifestyle of freedom that you deserve.
So can you kind of go into the story about how you found your why, or, why you're here on this earth, and how you even became to even think of starting this idea, which then turned into like a profitable business?
Oh my God, that's such a great question. A lot of people always ask me, like, Dr. Dre, how did you end up where you are today? So, I was an academic doctor. I have delivered over 5,000 babies, over 2,000 surgeries, graduated top of my medical school class, residency, chief resident. I landed my first job at a non-for-profit organization managing 10 offices, 10 OB-GYN offices with a $12 billion budget. But I had a big secret. I really wasn't happy. So I had all these titles, I had all these accolades, all these things, all these awards, but I really wasn't happy with my life because I knew that there was something bigger and greater inside. Right. But I was just scared. So God actually allowed people to come to me. Other doctors would come to me and ask me to help them with speaking, doing media, because I was already doing those things. I was a big blogger. I would speak on stages. I would do TV for fun all the time, where other doctors were noticing that I was doing those things, and they would come to me and ask. And I would tell them, oh, no, I'm super busy. I don't have time. I have lectures to do. I have patients to see. Super busy, right?
Right.
So one day after a 36-hour shift, I drove home, and I fell asleep. Fell asleep
on the wheel.
On the road. I fell asleep on the road. So that was one of the most scariest things that I've ever dealt with, like falling asleep driving home, right? So I was woken up by a police officer the next day who knew me because I delivered his baby.
Oh, wow.
And literally, I just woke up and drove right back to work because I needed to be at work at like 8:30 anyway. So just like nothing ever happened. But I was so scared because I was like, my life could have been taken away. So like everything that we have dreamed of with being a doctor, like everything that we have done our whole lives, all our sacrifices, all our 20s, everyone in their 20s are out partying and having fun. Yes. You are studying, not having fun.
I know that. For a fact and by practice.
Yeah. So, we sacrifice our lives in a huge way to take care of so many other people in this world. But at that moment, I could have taken my life away. Medicine could have taken my life away at that moment. So then I started listening to what God wanted me to do. So I already knew that because all these doctors, and it was a lot coming to me. So I was like, okay, let me sit down and get this together and let me serve these people because they're coming to me. So that's kind of how I created my business, by teaching other doctors to do what I did: speaking, blogging, vlogging, creating a business, creating products, creating services, marketing, selling those products and services from the stage, what I did in my school, the Medical Moguls Academy. So that's how it all started.
So I have a lot of topics to hit from what you just covered, but really quick, back to the story. So you fell asleep while you were driving, or did you pull over on the side of the road and fall asleep? Like, how did that happen?
I actually have no idea, right? So all I remember was I was I was on the side of the road, or side of the interstate, a busy interstate, and one of my buddies who I delivered his baby woke me up. So that's all I remember.
That has to be scary.
So, super scary, right? Like, so many things could have happened to me, but it was just, it was nothing but God that I'm still here and that nothing happened to me. My car, absolutely nothing happened to me.
What was going through your mind when you woke up, or when you just looked over and this cop's next to you, waking you up? Like, what was going through your mind after that event, or while you were going through it?
I was scared. I was frustrated with medicine at that time because, we try to save all these people, but a lot of times healthcare providers, we don't save ourselves. So I always say, doctor, till thyself, because we try to take care of everybody. We'll stay up all night to save someone, but we're actually hurting on the inside. So we have to heal ourselves and take care of ourselves to be better for our patients and for the world.
Okay. So let's rewind a little bit. Where are you from? Where did you grow up?
Everybody wants to know that. They're like, where is this guy from? So I'm actually a Southern guy. I'm from Mississippi, Mississippi, Biloxi, Mississippi. Yeah, so Southern guy. I went to undergrad in college in New Orleans, and then I went to med school at Howard University, and then residency at Michigan State.
Okay.
So, yeah, but I'm a Southern guy, Southern roots. I love the South. I like the warm weather. I hate the cold.
Did you get a couple of chances to go and check out Mardi Gras and everything at New Orleans?
Oh, my God. Mardi Gras, I grew up with Mardi Gras since I was like 5 years old. It's a normal tradition on the Gulf Coast of Mississippi.
So why did you want to be a doctor? I know this is a interview question, or the question that a lot of people get, but what made you decide to even go into medicine and go into be an OB-GYN or just in medicine in general?
So when I was 6 years old, I told my parents that I wanted to be a doctor. So that's all I've really known. But my grandmother used to clean houses for doctors, and she used to take me along with her, and so I can play with their kids. But I just like playing with their toys because they had better toys than me. But one of her clients let me listen to my heart with their stethoscope, and I fell in love. So I heard the sound, the heart beating. I was so intrigued by it that's what I knew I wanted to be, a doctor. So I started dissecting everything, frogs, worms, like anything I could find, I would dissect everything. And my love for medicine just grew and grew and grew. And yeah, that was it. My grandmother took me around, put me in the right place. So that's why I tell all parents, if you want your kids to be successful, if you want them to really follow their dreams, put them in the right location at an early age so they can be influenced.
Now, did you grow up with your grandmother for the most part?
Yeah, I grew up with my grandmother for the most part. She ended up dying from ovarian cancer.
Wow,
Not from ovarian cancer. She ended up dying because a surgeon left an instrument in her body.
Oh, wow.
So that actually skewed me more to, propelled me more into medicine, propelled me more into OB-GYN. And even with OB-GYN, I knew that I kind of liked it, but I actually liked cardiology better. But, when I went on my OB-GYN rotation as a third-year medical student, I delivered my first baby, and I cried. So I was like, okay, so this is it. Like, this is what I'm supposed to do. Like, even though my brain is in another place, I want to do this because this is so easy, and I'm intrigued by the heart physiology. My heart was in women's health. So that's how I picked my specialty.
So do you remember your first patient as a doctor? When you went through everything and you finally, finished residency, do you remember, did you go straight into managing those, 10 branches, or did you do practice first?
So I was an academic doctor. My first patient was when my first day of being an attending, I was on call. and I walked in, and a baby was coming out. Like, that was my first patient, right? So, threw me right in. You're on call today. You're like, okay, let's do it, right?
Yeah.
I delivered my first baby within probably 2 minutes of call. So I didn't have a lot of time to talk to her because she's like, get this baby out, right?
Talk about
so I was
putting
like,
you to
let's
work.
get this baby out. Let's make it happen. So that was my first patient, and I was like, this is it. This is what I've been waiting for. This is what my dream was.
So, and then you did that for a couple of years, and then you had this, this event happen where you almost fell asleep. Well, you fell asleep at the wheel. Don't even know what happened. How did that awaken your passion? Because you spoke a little bit earlier about a lot of people don't walk with their passion or do a lot of things that they really want to do. Like they don't go towards the open door, they go towards the closed door. How did that kind of switch your mentality into wanting to do something different?
Well, I knew that there was a reason why doctors were coming to me. There had to be a reason why it was occurring, but I was just ignoring it because I was just really scared of, another set of responsibility for another set of people. Mm-hmm. I was just scared, right? Because we're not trained to do those things. But I'm going to tell you this. When you know your passions in this world, when you know your gifts, your God-given gifts, it's easy to find out what you're supposed to do. So it was right in my face. It was right in my face. But God had to put me something that was bad in order for me to wake up, to actually do it, to take action, to walk in what I was supposed to do.
Right.
So years later, I had this B school, and we trained over hundreds of doctors in our business school. They've made over millions of dollars outside of the hospital, outside of their doctor income, based off of their genius.
Whew. That's a big amount. That's a big amount for, especially because it's almost kind of, at least from what I've seen so far, not taboo, but it's kind of like unspoken that some people will kind of like make you feel bad for wanting to do entrepreneur things while you're being a doctor. Like you should just be a doctor and just be seeing patients, and that, money shouldn't really play a part as much when you're a doctor. This is some of the things I've been hearing. What is kind of your mindset on money and being a doctor, or just your mindset on how you structure your life around income?
So money is very important. Doctors are in debt. So a lot of us are in debt anywhere between 180 to, I've seen doctors a little bit over $300,000 in student loan debt, right?
Yes.
So money is very important, very important. So you have to start managing it at an early age, and you have to start managing what your life is going to be like if you were not a doctor. So how can you sustain your lifestyle, your life, without being a doctor? It's really creating a business based off of who you are. That's how you're going to do it. So you need to learn that very, very early, very rapidly, so you can start working toward that, and you can be a doctor on your own terms when you want to do it, not because you have to do it to pay back student loans. You can do it whenever you want, whenever your heart says.
So how did you set up getting on? Because you said you did a lot of TV shows and you were on you were doing blogs. How did you even get introduced to that? Like what started that whole this whole, not escapade, what started this whole shift of things that you were doing, like all these shows and doing all these different media outlets? How did you even start that off?
So actually, I started as a blogger. I was blogging under my name, Dr. Drai, and eventually the more content I put out online about medical topics, reporters would find me. They would find me and interview me for their magazines, for their newspapers, for radio shows, and eventually for television. So it all started with me putting out content on the internet. So just like you have this podcast, this is content. So that's something that people can, research and use you as an expert for what you're talking about.
Right. Okay. And so it just grew over time, and
very rapidly. They were looking for an OBGYN at the time, they were looking for an OBGYN in the market who was bold to really like speak their mind, like what's really going on in healthcare, not like, the political talk, but the real talk, what really happens in medicine.
Do you have a favorite show that you were on or that you did?
My favorite show, my most fun show would be, I love Tom Joyner. So Tom Joyner Radio, I love them. They're like super fun, super down to earth. I just love it. So every time I'm on the Tom Joyner Show, I always have fun.
Okay. And so how many times have you done a Tom Joyner Show? Just
I would say over 10.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's another thing. So I've been on there a lot. So, when I'm there, it's like speaking to old friends. So that's what's cool when I'm there and they're like, oh my God, Dr. Dre's back. So it's super cool and they're always respectful. They love doctors, number one, and they just love that and they let me be myself. So when you're a doctor and you're in media, you definitely want to partner with other media outlets that respect who you are and how you bring the information to the masses.
During this process, when you started Medical Moguls, well, how did you start it? Did you just go around and you just started researching books and you're like, okay, this is how I need to start this business, or did you have any guidance?
I had coaches. So I hired over 15 coaches within 3 years to rapidly help me create this business that I wanted to do. So I had speaking coaches, I had media coaches, I had blogging coaches, I had business coaches, I had selling coaches, products and services, marketing, all different type of marketing coaches, email marketing, social media marketing, doing ad marketing. So I hired a lot of coaches, over 15 coaches within 3 years. I chose to do that instead of going to get an MBA because I knew that doctors with MBAs were not making the money. They were not making the money. They were administrators. So going to get an MBA wasn't for me at the time. I was like, I need real life information that I can apply right now very rapidly to get results. And the way to do that is by hiring a coach that's known in their field. So you don't have to make the same mistakes that they did.
Right. I saw somewhere, actually I think I heard that you spend over $100,000 just in self-improvement, like in coaches and personal development. This is a true statement, correct?
True statement. way more than that. But yeah, definitely over 6 figures in coaching because I like to learn from the best and I like to know what information I need to know right now currently in the market.
So, I mean, if you don't mind me asking, how did you find these coaches and like who are your coaches? Who are they?
So how did I find my coaches? So let me talk about my friends. So most of my friends are not in medicine. They're in business, number one. So they have always had coaches to maneuver them through several stages in their life. But just like doctors, we do have coaches. We don't call them that. We call them mentors. Like when you're matching for residency, you call your mentors. When you are getting your first job, you call your mentors. When you are taking these boards, you call your mentors. They're actually coaches that help you through a process. And that's what I needed for my business. So that's how I came up with, hey, just go hire a coach. Because my friends who are deans of schools who are in business, so they hire coaches themselves. So that's kind of how I got to hire a coach. So I would say my most influential coach, I will give you his initial. I'll give you his initial.
Sure.
So his DR is his initial, like doctor, right? So he's my most influential coach, and he was my speaking coach. So he actually taught me how to tell a story from the stage, which is so important. Right. As a doctor, we are not very creative when it comes to storytelling. Right. So he actually taught me how to tell my own story on stage, which was huge, because it really helped me be comfortable with telling people who I was.
Yeah, because I've heard this saying, facts tell, stories sell, in that, like the human brain is triggered to, well, human brain, of course, remembers stories better, and it's triggered to, like, you can capture the attention of humans in stories a lot better than just spitting out, facts like I'm X, Y, and Z, rather than making a story of, I guess how you became to do, et cetera, et cetera. And it helps people connect with you on a deeper level, so I definitely agree with that. Like, that's something that I'm learning on and working on as we speak. And I'm even using it for interviews and answering questions and just trying to figure out how to just phrase things into stories now to, give people something that they can remember.
Yeah, stories are everything. So I would recommend doctors to learn to tell your story.
And how, because some people are going to say, well, I don't even know where to start at with my story. Like, what do you mean? How can you, what advice would you have for people trying to figure out, well, like, what makes my story different? Some people.
So it's not the story that you tell your friends and your colleagues to impress them, right? So we want to know the real story. Like, really, what has happened in your life to get you to where you are? So for me, I had to fall asleep on the road in order to be a medical mogul now. So if that didn't happen to me, my life wouldn't have been propelled into taking imperfect action to get to this place right here. So what was that one thing that happened to you that propelled your life so rapidly to get you the results that you deserved?
Okay. And so if people can't think of a specific event or, some people maybe just haven't even had that trigger yet to make that next step or the next move, like how would you advise people to, even find their story? How would you advise them to find their why or find their purpose?
I would tell them to hire a coach. So if you don't know why you're here, you need to talk to someone, and they need to help you figure out why you're here to discover yourself. So I would hire someone to get that for you very rapidly, because you need to know that. Because your whole life is going to be based off of why you're here, like everything. And this is your legacy. So when you die from this earth, that why will still be here.
Right. And so
you need to know.
How would you advise people like medical students, people that don't have a lot of money to spare, that are living off all these hundreds of thousands of loans? How would you advise them? Because
I would say follow the influencers in medicine. Like, follow the influencers who are entrepreneurs, who are stepping outside the box. One of my students, he loves staying outside the box. So stepping outside of the box, being who themselves, being brave and bold, and getting out there. Follow those people and learn their stories, and your story may be just as similar.
What are some things that now? Okay, so let's kind of switch gears and kind of speak about medical moguls and how you're making Doctorpreneurs. What are some things or some advice that you would have to starting off earlier? Let's say medical students and then residents. Are there any things that they can do to monetize their degree or their expected degree and kind of get this process started earlier?
So I always tell them this. I'm like, so you guys need to focus on passing your tests, right? So passing your tests, passing your board, getting in residency. Those are things that you need when you're a medical doctor, right? So I would say definitely focus on that. But while you're doing that, you can definitely be more visible online. So being online is critical. So when I went through medical school, we were not allowed to have like a Facebook page, a Twitter. Twitter wasn't even out. Like, we were not allowed to have a Facebook page or get on social media. It was very much like, you are not allowed on social media. So we didn't do it. But that actually handicapped my generation of doctors who can really monetize who they are, because they're not online. So no one knows who they are. So basically, they take over the hospital brand. So they're not, Dr. X, they're a blah, blah, blah university. That's who they're known as.
Right.
Because we were not allowed to be who we were and to put our names out to the world. So I would definitely say all medical students, get on social media, whatever platform that you like, get on there, learn everything you can about it. Don't focus only on medicine, obviously. Focus on life and who you are, but definitely talk about some medical topics, what's going on in your life, what things that you're learning in medical school. Those are all interesting to the world.
Okay.
So I would definitely say get on social media. That's the number one thing. Get on social media. Be more visible. Blog. Learn how to blog. Those are some things that will help you when you start outside of the hospital.
So, like, a lot of us have that art. Like, I don't know, maybe one person that, like, doesn't have a Facebook. Like, for example, in my class, like, a lot of us have social media. But I remember I was speaking to some of my classmates. I was telling them that I was going to be speaking with you. And one of the questions that they had that they kind of wanted me to ask you was that, how do you know what to put on social media, or how do you determine the balance of like your own life, like putting out your personal information, like the professionalism versus just being like yourself, does that make sense? Do you understand the question?
Yeah, so I would say no alcohol, no wearing your clothes too tight with your breath out, no profanity. So those are common sense things that you guys should know. So none of those things should ever be on your social media at all. Like, even associated with, or even taking pictures with people who are doing those things. So if you know that on someone's Instagram page, they're like cussing in their Insta stories, you probably shouldn't be tagged in their stuff, right? Does that make sense?
Right.
Because you don't want to be associated with those types of people. So you need to pay attention to who you're taking pictures with. So if you don't know them, don't take a picture with them at all. Like, no, because you never know who they are. So that's a really good lesson. And then, so that would be it. So don't do those things, and you should be fine. And don't say anything about patient care. So obviously we have HIPAA rules inside of medicine, so nothing identifiable when it comes to patients should be on social media. Okay,
of course. And so one of my classmates as well, I told her that, and she was like, what if you don't want to start a blog? What are some other ways that you can start this process earlier, start this Doctorpreneur process, while you're still in medical school or while you're a resident?
So you can write a book. You can do vlogs, which are videos. So live streaming is video. So if you don't want to write a blog, do a video blog, talk instead of writing, And some people, so it just depends on the person. Like, some people like to write, and then some people are like, I don't want to write. So the people that like to write, I would recommend you doing blogs, writing a book. The people that don't like to write, I would recommend you being on YouTube, doing Insta stories, doing Facebook Live, getting who you are out to the world. So it just depends on the person and what you really like to do. But you definitely want to be visible.
Okay. And so how did you build your social media following, and like, how were you able to get that up?
So, visibility. So as soon as I graduated from residency and I passed my board and all that stuff, I created my official, professional pages then. Right. So, and then obviously I had been blogging, so I learned how to put those blogs onto social media, share content, and then my followers grew.
Okay.
So if you already have the content there that you created, it's so much easier. All you have to do is share it to the right people.
And so in your from Med Mogul, you have a chapter where you speak about, constantly being a pupil and studying your craft and studying all the different tools or the different parts of whether it be a business or whatever you're doing in life, can you kind of expand on how those that kind of have no direction or don't really know what to do, or or what coaches to reach out to, like how can they be the best pupil or study their craft or figure out what they need to do?
So you're talking about my book, From Medicine to Mogul, 7 Steps to 7 Figures.
Correct.
One of the chapters is be the pupil before being the professor. And most medical students understand this because you start out as students before you're intending. And in medicine, it's lifelong learning, right? So you're always in CME courses. You're always traveling to conferences in order to improve your medical knowledge. Well, in business, it's the same way. Like currently right now, I'm in a Facebook ad course, like right now. Like right now. Wow. Like it never stops, right? So now Facebook ads are done via Messenger. So you can do Facebook ads in people's Messenger, Facebook Messenger, instead of just on the feeds. So everything is changing, so you have to keep up with the times. So you must always, always be the pupil.
Okay. And so through your program, you said you've helped you've helped hundreds of doctors make over millions of dollars. What can you kind of like give an overview of like what you go over in your course? Like what exactly, like how are these doctors monetizing their degrees? Like what are they doing?
So before we do that, I want to go back to that other question where you said that people didn't know where to start. So
right.
Where you need to start is find out who you really are, like your true self and why you're here. It always has to start with your purpose. So you cannot create a business without knowing who you are, your purpose, and why you're here. Because that's going to be the most successful business. So this is why businesses fail all the time, because people just throw money at them, right? But it's not really connected to their soul, right? So you have to have a business that's connected to you, who you are, and it has to be relevant in the market. So you have to be the solution to people's pain. Whatever someone's pain is, you must be that solution in business.
Okay.
So, let me give you an example for doctors. So a lot of doctors, patients, let's say you want to do ortho, right? So let's say someone broke their arm or something like that. Obviously, they're in pain. They need an orthopedic surgeon, right?
Correct.
So do they, look for all the best and all that stuff? No, they just need a doctor. So they go into the ER, right? Because they just need an orthopedic surgeon to help them. So your business needs to be set up like that as well, right? You don't have to be the best. You don't have to be the worst. You just have to have a solution for them. That's all they want. So when people are in pain, they'll pay for that solution, whatever it is. And that's how you start your business.
So, for example, there are hundreds of OBGYNs, hundreds of orthopedic surgeons or family medicine doctors or, everybody in their respective field. How are they how can you differentiate yourself than everybody else? Because it's like
Google. So when you Google Dr. Drai, we have 20 pages, right?
Right.
So we have 20 pages because we create content and we do television. We write books, best-selling books. That book is a best-selling book, actually. So we write best-selling books. We blog. We vlog. We get our genius out to the world. And to go back to the last question, what are some of the other doctors doing? We have a doctor who has a school for dentists. She teaches them how to build a profitable office. We have an IME doctor who teaches people how to do independent medical exams. We have a locums doctor who teaches doctors how to get locums gigs. We have fitness doctors who have fitness products, shakes, yoga mats, travel kits, granola bars. So it's really based off of who you are and what you want to do and why you're here on this earth. So they're very different in their passions and their gifts.
Right. So really, at the base of this, step number one, finding who you are. And
Correct.
If you don't know, you need to find out very quick. Hire somebody, talk to a couple of people. But that is just the number one thing. And basically after that, everything else, everything else won't line up, but you'll kind of have a direction of what where you need to be going. Am I getting this right?
Exactly. Find your purpose is number one. So that book from Medicine of Moguls, 7 Steps to 7 Figures, the first chapter is what? Find your purpose, right?
Right.
Find your purpose, which is a combination of your gifts and your passions. Knowing your gifts, which are innate things that God has given you, and all you have to do is ask 5 people, what do you think my gifts are? They'll probably tell you what it is, right? Versus your passions, and your passions are what you would do if you could do it for free. If you would die, like what would you do for fun, right? That would be your passions, right?
Okay.
So your gifts plus your passions equals your purpose.
Okay. And you also recommend in your book that people find their posse. This is on one of the other steps that I saw, and basically like a group of people that'll help push them and are like-minded individuals. What tips do you have for people to find that posse, if necessarily right now they don't have that crowd of people around them that's pushing them or elevating them to the next level? You do. You have that crowd. It's called your study group for now.
So I would say this. Just like medical school, right? The people that study alone, what happens? They fail, right? They don't do as well as the people that study in groups. Same way in business. You can't be a lone ranger in business. You have to be in a group. You have to find your posse. So finding your posse is a group of like-minded people with a similar goal. So if you want to make a 7-figure business, 8-figure business, you need to be around people who are 7-figure earners, 8-figure earners, right? So It's all about, and that's what I did. I put myself around millionaires when I was not a millionaire because they knew the secret to get there. So even when I was a medical student, I hung out with residents. When I was a resident, I hung out with attendings because I knew they were always steps ahead of the game. So they would tell me what I needed to do to get to where they were.
Yeah, there's like a saying that if there's 8 people in a room and 7 of them are millionaires, that you're the other one, that you'll probably end up being a millionaire just from hanging around them. And because when you hang around people that are not that, it's like, what can we exactly, like, how can somebody that hasn't done it teach us how to attain it,
Correct. So form your posse, make sure they're like-minded, and make sure they're the kind of people, they're steps ahead of you in the game so you can learn something.
Okay. And I kind of have some questions from some of my other colleagues that, some of them submitted some questions to me that they wanted at least your opinion or your outlook on. And this is one from she's actually a medical student who has a blog herself. And she says that, a lot of plastic surgeons and dermatologists are leveraging social media for their services. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with like Dr. Miami, for example. How can non-procedural doctors or non-cosmetic doctors use social media to benefit their practice?
Teach. So Dr. Miami, what he does is teach. He teaches online, and you can teach as well. So all of us in the various specialties, all you have to do is teach. It can be something as simple as diabetes that we all know about, but teaching people what exactly is diabetes and how to prevent it and cool things they can do throughout their day to make sure they're not like overeating, right? So just teach. Just get online and teach. It's that simple.
So I guess one of the things is how can, and I already hear this in the minds of people when I tell them this, how are we doing that? Like, how are we giving new information that's not already out there? Like, for example, there's a lot out there already on diabetes. Like, how am I being different compared to the others of doctors that's already published and spoken on diabetes or have these different pages set up? Like, how can they be different?
So it's about how you put the information out. So if you give me a topic, I can put the information out a total different way to make millions of people take action, right? Because I'm trained to do that. So Dr. Miami is really good at speaking in a way that makes sense. So a lot of doctors speak in medical jargon, so the layperson will not understand, so they can't take action on what you're telling them. Okay, that's the trick. Right. If you want to teach online, you must speak in a way that a 4th grader can understand what you want them to do.
Right.
So that's what's great about watching these personalities online, because some of them get it and you can understand, and then some of them are still in their medical world where no one's going to understand besides doctors, right? So that's what they need to do. So learn how to relay the message in a way that a fourth grader can understand. And that's how you get on television. That's how you get masses of people to take action in what you want them to do.
I actually think that's a great bit of advice. I think that's actually a very, very good piece of information, because a lot of us forget. Because, you know, a lot of us are just around, you know, doctors or other, you know, healthcare professionals most of the time that understand the, I guess, more in-depth different topics. And when we go to speak to somebody else that hasn't been through 4 years of medical school and X amount of years of residency, a lot of people kind of forget. And I've definitely seen that happen a lot. You know, as a student, listening to like a practicing physician and attending physician speak to a patient like they know everything, and I'll be like, I know they do not understand what you're saying at all.
So then it's hard for them to take action. It's hard for them to know what medication to take. It's hard for them to know how to exercise and what foods to eat, because they don't understand.
Right. And so here I have another question, and it is, what is the best way to start doing public events, public speaking events? Do you recommend partnering with people to host an event, or just start doing them by yourself? What would be your suggestion?
Speak at your medical school. If you're a medical student, go to your medical school and speak. Go to your undergrad and speak. You know, there's a door wide open for you. If you're a medical student, you can go back to the pre-med office and do a talk on what it's like, the life of a medical student. There you go. When you're an attending, go back to your residency. When you're a resident, go back to your medical school. So there's various different avenues that doctors in the different stages can actually get really, like, do really well at public speaking. But practice. So get out there. The best way to practice is by doing live stream. Insta stories. So if you're not out online speaking, you're not going to be paid millions of dollars or thousands of dollars to go speak on the stage, because people don't know who you are. They don't know if you can speak.
Right. So you suggest doing a live stream?
I suggest get online, whether it's an Insta story, whether it's Twitter Live, LinkedIn bringing live streaming, Facebook Live, so you can practice speaking to the masses.
That is noted. I will definitely take that to heart and start doing that. I did not think of that. That's definitely a great another tidbit. I hope people are taking notes and jotting down pieces of information from all these jewels that you're dropping. So what are your morning rituals? What do the first 60 minutes of your day look like?
So I get up at 4 a.m. every morning, and I meditate at 4:30. So 4:30, I meditate for around like 30 minutes, and then I will go to the gym, eat, read the paper, and then I have meetings with my staff.
So how, because I know waking up at 4 a.m. is hard for a lot of people. Have you always done that, or was it something that you kind of had to work up to? Or
well, I'm a surgeon. So, you know, Ob-Gyns are surgeons. So we get up so early anyway, and getting up in the middle of the night trying to catch a baby. So I'm used to getting up super early.
Even on the weekends, are you up at 4 a.m.?
Even on the weekends.
Man.
This is my morning routine. So I meditate every day at 4:30. So I have to meditate in order to keep a positive mindset. Because, you know, being a doctor, we have a lot of self-sabotage, negative thinking, you know, so we have to stay positive at all times. And the way that I do that is by meditating. I start my day off in a positive place with meditation.
Do you go through a guided meditation, or do you kind of have something in your mind that's a routine, or how do you meditate?
So I have guided meditation, but I also do, I have personal affirmations that I write for myself that I say every single day.
So you wrote down a list, and I guess you've memorized it by now, and you kind of just repeat those back to yourself.
Exactly. So they're the same 30 things I say to myself all month. So I have them all memorized, and they just roll off my mouth, like roll off my tongue, and in my mind.
Do you mind if we just hear a couple of them? The couple ones, if you just want to share kind of what you say to yourself?
So I actually sell my meditation secrets
Okay.
inside of my school. So I definitely give them to my school, my students from the Medical Moguls Academy, but I don't give them out to the public.
Okay, that is fine. And
Wendell's like, man, really, Drai?
just one, not even just one.
In my school, you have to be in Medical Moguls Academy in order to know my secrets to meditation and how I do it.
Well, I mean, that's fair.
Something that you should think about, actually meditating every day as soon as you get up, just to make sure that you are in the right place mentally.
And kind of what benefits have how long have you been doing this meditation for, if you don't mind me asking?
So I have been meditating maybe for, I will probably say 4 years now. So as soon as I started in business, business is a rough street. I had to change my mindset. So I had to change my mindset. I had to have a clear mindset, clear mentality in order to make it to the next level. So a lot of things about being a doctor. Being a doctor for a lot of us is super easy, right? So we can catch a baby, we can do surgery. It's super easy because it's repetition. And sometimes we have tough cases, but for the most part, it's relatively easy for us. In business, it can be hard. So it can be hard because things may not go your way, right? So you have to be able to be consistent and have perseverance and be resilient. And the way that I do that is through meditation.
So you meditate, and then after that you work out. Do you have a type of workout do you do? Do you normally just go to the gym and run on a treadmill, or
so I have a trainer. So I have a virtual trainer, actually. So he has me doing circuit training. So that's what I do 3 to 4 times a week. Then I eat generally a light breakfast, and then I read the paper.
Okay.
So I read the paper with current events to see what's going on, and then I have staff meetings. So I actually run 3 companies: Amari Concierge, which is my concierge Ob-Gyn practice; Medical Moguls, which is my school, my B school, business school for doctors,
right? And
then Dr. Drai, who is a media personality consultant to stations across America. So I run those. I have staff at each of those companies, and then we have meetings in the morning for each of those companies.
So after these meetings, I guess kind of what does the rest of your day look like? A typical day?
It just depends. It just depends on what my staff wants me to do. Sometimes I have coaching calls in the morning. So certain days I have coaching calls in the morning. Certain days I see patients, and the other days I do media interviews. I do interviews in the morning. And then at noon, I meet with my staff again. So I have staff meetings again at noon. I meet with them 3 times a day. So I usually give them tasks to do in the morning. And then at noon, we try to check the progress of the task of getting things done. I eat lunch, kind of talk to my friends, kind of hang out. And then in the afternoon, I work in my business. So I don't work. So in the mornings, I kind of work for my business. And in the afternoon, I work in my business, where I'm doing the operational stuff in my business in the afternoon. And then I meet with my staff again around 5 o'clock to make sure the tasks are completed. And then I'm generally done.
Okay. And I know you are a fan of virtual assistants. So is this staff, are these physical meetings, or are these meetings with virtual assistants, or I mean, I guess those are really the only 2 options.
So all of my staff are virtually, so they're not virtual assistants.
Okay. So
they're employees. So I have employees, but they are virtual employees. So I meet with them via telecommunication, so they can see my face and I can see their face, and we give each other tasks. So it's very rapid. So I meet with one company for 50 minutes, and then I meet with another company for 15 minutes, and then another company for 15 minutes. So I have in total probably 18 employees, 17 coming up, but probably 18 right now. So there are various different numbers in each of the companies.
Okay. Wow, that's another tip that I'm gonna take for eventually when I start my business. I actually like that setup. So you could really be at home and run your entire operation for the most part.
Yeah, so a lot of times I'm on my phone, actually. We have telecommunication on my phone. And even if I'm like getting on a plane or getting off a plane, I can still talk to my staff. As long as I have that hour to talk to each of the companies of what they need to do for the day. Then I may skip that lunch meeting because I'm on a plane or, flying, that kind of thing. But as long as I can get them on the phone in the morning and then on the phone in the afternoon in a portal where they can see me, we're good. Things get accomplished. So we have monthly goals. So I run my company based off of a yearly plan, an operational plan for the year. And then each of the operational plan, I break it down to monthly goals and weekly goals, and then we have daily goals. So we have to hit the daily goals, obviously, to meet our weekly goals, then to meet our monthly goals, to meet our quarterly goals, and then our yearly goals. So that's kind of how I manage my business. We start out with the goals for the entire year, and then we break them down.
I definitely like that setup because it kind of gives you see the day-by-day progress that you're making, and I definitely like that. So when you think of the word successful, who are the first people that come to mind?
Oprah. Love her. Love Oprah. Success. Obama. Love him. The third person that comes to my mind when I think of success, I would say Denzel Washington. Those are three people that I just adore. And they're all different. Mm-hmm. They're all different, but at the core, they take imperfect action and they get there. They're very visible in the market, and that's how they get gigs.
So I guess diving a little bit deeper, what about these three people make them like success in your mind? Like they are living their dreams on their own terms. So for me, success means like being happy and doing what you want to do when you want to do it. So for me, I'm successful because I can get on a plane whenever I want to and still run my businesses, where other people are locked to a brick and mortar, right? So they haven't learned that they have to transition from a brick and mortar to having a online business where they can do whatever they want to do. So I love the fact that those three individuals are very bold, they're very visible, and they've gotten their message out to the masses, and that's how they made change for the world. Love it. I love it. How has failure, whether it be at any point in your life, set you up for success later?
Oh my God, failing is so common. So fail fast, fail forward, right? So You have to be okay with failure. You're going to fail so many times. It's ridiculous. So what you have to do is get back up every single time, brush yourself off, learn the mistakes that you made, improve them, and move on. But every failure that you have, there's a success there. And there's a reason why you're failing. Like I told you before earlier, God will let you succeed at what he wants you to, what you're supposed to do, right? So stop going through the door that's closed and pulling at the knob, right? Go through the door that's open, that's right there.
Perfect. And so what book have you gifted the most? What book have you recommended others to read? What 2 or 3 books?
Well, my books, of course.
I figured.
So one of my best-selling books from Medicine of Moguls, 7 Steps to 7 Figures, is the book that I generally recommend all doctors to read because it tells you how to build a business in 7 steps. So if you follow these steps, obviously everything's not in the book, right? You're going to need a little bit of help, but if you follow these steps and read the concepts, you're able to learn how other people have built these 7-figure businesses and how I have as well.
Okay, great. And so here's the last question. So if you had $50 million and you couldn't spend any of it on yourself, what would you do with that money?
If I had $50 million and I couldn't spend it on any of it on myself, what would I do? I would put it in a trust. That's what I really would do. But I'm a business guy, right? So I would probably donate it to one of the organizations that I love. So I'm really big in women domestic violence, so I'll probably put the money over there to kind of help with that.
Okay, that's awesome. And really quick, can you speak a little bit about your Momentum in Medicine conference? I know you have one of those coming up next year, at least in 2018. And so is this like a yearly thing that you do, or, kind of how can people get to know a little bit more about you beyond reading your books, or, how can they come and see you in person and get involved?
So we do have a conference, a yearly conference. It's called the Momentum in Medicine Conference, and this is our business medical conference. So we always say you get more out of this single conference than you did in 1 year in medical school when it comes to creating wealth outside of the hospital, wealth outside of the office. So you really learn how to monetize your medical degree and leverage your brand for medicine and mogul when you attend this conference. And the conference is April the 19th to the 21st in Atlanta. So it's not free. Right. That's not free. But the telesummit is free, where you can get in and learn these strategies that we will be discussing more at the conference.
Perfect. So, and if people want to kind of reach out to you and find you, of course, I'll have links in the description for this podcast, but how can people find you on social media and, your site? How can people find you?
Join me on Facebook. So if you go to www.thedoctorpreneurs.com, that's my private Facebook group where I hang out. So come join me there, introduce yourself, and let's have fun.
Perfect. Again, I want to say thank you so much for coming on the show. Got a wealth of knowledge. I hope a lot of people are ready to take action and kind of, move themselves, or at least switch their mindsets to start thinking in the creating wealth or living in your true passion kind of ideal or just state of living. So I definitely want to say thank you for taking your time out and coming and speaking, and I definitely appreciate it.
Cool. Thank you for having me. Bye.
Thank you all for listening to episode 2 of Convos with Cole. Now, for all of these show notes and everything that we kind of talked about in the show, feel free to go to www.convoswithcole. Again, that's Convos with Cole, ConvosWithCole.com, and you will have a link to all of the show notes as well as the things that were kind of spoken about in the show. Don't forget to subscribe to get updates for when we have our latest episodes that are released. And please leave a rating and a review. Let me know what you like, what things we can improve on. And if you just like it, feel free to rate it however many stars you want to. Again, thank you all for listening, and you all have a good one.